Okay, here's our highly anticipated video for the cam and follower. I have a smattering of parts here ready for this project. I have the cam lobe. I have the follower, which is a push rod that creates a reciprocating motion when the cam starts with a rotational motion. So it creates rotational motion into reciprocating motion. It's often used to open the valves, the intake and exhaust valves on automobiles so that the engines can breathe and create their firing order. Now I do have my standard base plate here. I have the girder that we use for most of our projects. I've got my laminated sheet that has the picture on it, and it has a list of parts. And what I'm hoping by now is that when you go to get out the tray for this project, that it's going to have the basic parts that you need in it, including the bearings, the machine screws, and the stir washers and that go along with it. So hopefully we're getting to the point where we're very organized. Now I do have some pre-assembly going on. I have this long metal plate coming up from the middle, and this is going to hold the guide for the push rod for the cam and follower. The push rod has to be held in place vertically, so I have this guide on there, and what it is used for, let me slide this push rod up in here so you can see what's going on, this is the guide for this reciprocating motion. Now something that I've done on here, I went and I put my bearings on the inside of the girder, and the reason I did that was I wanted to use some specific spacers on my crank with my drive shaft, and I didn't want the bearings to interfere with that. Also, I didn't want to have to worry about the spacers for the guide for the push rod. I have it up flush against here, and if I would have had these bearings on the outside of the plate, then I would have had to space out this push rod as well. So that's something I sort of did different. Now again, I want to remind you, these bearings are essentially important for the smooth operation of your mechanism. Some of you are completing these mechanisms without using the bearings, and some of the mechanisms can be really picky. They're not going to function real well. And it's good practice, because when we start applying motors and sensors and we have things going at several RPMs per minute versus 20 RPMs per minute, things need to be a lot more stable. So make sure you're in practice of using the bearings with the drive shafts. Now the way I set up this crank is I put the collar on the end. I got the hand crank in there, and then I got a couple of plastic spacers so that I can put the hand crank through the plastic bearings and it doesn't interfere with the girder. It sits in there nearly perfect. So I have it spaced in that manner. Now before I put the cam lobe on, I've got to slide this back a little bit. I need to get this push rod up here through this vertical guide. So I'll get that in place. And then if I can tilt this a little bit so that you can see it, I'll go ahead and get this cam lobe set up. Now the cam lobe does have to be at the top row in your main girder. Otherwise it's going to bottom out. So you need to make sure before you get it all fixed together that the cam lobe is going to rotate freely. So I have that in place. Now I simply need to take this collar, and it takes the long skinny Allen wrench. I'll back that screw out a little bit. And remember, on these collars, you want them to be snug, not overly tight. Now the cam and follower, when you're functioning it is a little picky. You have to have a little speed going on when you use it. Otherwise, see how it gets stuck in there? So when you start doing the rotational movement, make sure you're going fast enough. Try and get that in the camera where you can see it better. If you don't go fast enough, it'll jam up. But this is the cam and follower. It takes circular movement, rotational movement, and it transfers it into linear movement. Not only linear, but reciprocating. Reciprocating meaning it can go back and down. Now, one thing that's unique about the cam and follower versus the other mechanisms is you cannot reverse the input. You can only go in one direction. You cannot reverse the input. You can also, you cannot grab the output and make the input move. So we'll need to note that when we're looking at our mechanism worksheets. Now again, when you finish this project, check your drawer. The only thing that should be in your drawer or your tray is the laminated picture. So make sure that's in the tray. Also, make sure the 2 wrenches stay in the tray. And then you can put your pieces in the tray as well. That'll go back on the cart, and then your base plate and your girder will be ready for your next mechanism build. So until next time, good luck.